Today, we're talking about a creature that many of us see all the time, maybe right in our own gardens, the ruby-throated hummingbird. But we're not just here to admire a pretty bird. Oh no. We are here to get to know a true biological marvel, a tiny machine that absolutely pushes the limits of what should be physically possible.
I want you to think for a second about the most extreme athlete you can possibly imagine. Someone with just unbelievable endurance, blinding speed, and an engine that never quits. Now, what if I told you that very athlete is probably flitting around just a few feet from your window right now?
That's right. We're talking about the ruby-throated hummingbird. This little bird is an absolute powerhouse of evolutionary adaptation, packing more athletic ability into its tiny body than almost any other animal on the entire planet. To really get a sense of scale here, an adult hummingbird weighs about 3.4 grams. That is literally less than a nickel. It's covered in only about 940 feathers total. And here's a cool little fact. That fiery red throat on the male, the gorget, it's not pigment. That stunning color is actually structural. It's created by the way light bounces off microscopic little features on the feathers themselves. Pretty neat, huh? So how on earth does a creature this small generate so much power? Well, let's dive into its first incredible trick, fueling an engine that runs hotter and faster than any other vertebrate we know of. You see, to really understand the hummingbird, you have to wrap your head around its metabolism. It is, to put it mildly, completely off the charts. And the numbers behind it, well, they're just staggering. First up, let's talk about heart rate. When it's in flight, a hummingbird's heart can beat over 1,200 times a minute. Now, just for comparison, a healthy human resting heart rate is somewhere between 60 and 100. This little thing is an engine that is living in the red all the time. And it's not just their heart. Even when they're just sitting still, perched on a branch, they're taking around 250 breaths every single minute just to keep enough oxygen pumping through the system. Now, if you adjust for size, what scientists call the mass-specific metabolic rate, theirs is an unbelievable 77 times faster than a human's. They're just burning through energy at a rate that's almost impossible for us to comprehend. This quote from Johns Hopkins Medicine really puts it all into perspective. To fuel its lifestyle, a hummingbird would need the caloric equivalent of a human eating 150,000 calories every single day. I mean, think about that. They are basically living on the razor's edge of starvation from one moment to the very next. To get all that fuel, they have to be ridiculously efficient feeders. So you'd probably assume they just use their long beaks like a straw to suck up nectar, right? Makes sense. But the reality, it's way more complex and frankly, way more fascinating than that. They don't suck, they lick. Using this incredibly specialized tongue, they can flick it in and out of a flower up to 15 times every single second. So, how in the world does that even work? Okay, so their tongue is forked and it has these tiny hair-like fringes on it. When it darts into nectar, those fringes spread open and trap the liquid using something called capillary action. It's the same force that helps trees pull water up from their roots. Then, as the tongue pulls back into the beak, it gets squeezed, and all that nectar is pushed right into their throat. It's basically a high-speed, high-tech biological pump. All right, so they have this insane engine and a really efficient way to keep it fueled. But with that kind of metabolic burn rate, how do they possibly survive the night when they can't feed for hours on end? This is where they show off their mastery of two opposite extremes: incredible energy output and incredible energy conservation. First, let's talk about the output. I mean, their flight is legendary, right? They're the only birds that can truly hover for long periods of time, fly backwards with pinpoint precision, and even fly upside down for a moment. And if you really want to see their power on display, just watch a male's courtship dive. A 60-mile-per-hour plunge powered by wing beats that can top 200 times a second. But all that energy use creates a potentially fatal problem every single night. They would literally starve to death in their sleep. Their solution is an incredible survival mechanism called torpor. You can think of it as a controlled mini hibernation that they can just switch on every single night. The sheer scale of this nightly shutdown is just mind-blowing. Take a look at this comparison. Their heart rate plummets from over 1,200 beats per minute down to as low as 50. Their body temperature can drop from a warm 105 degrees Fahrenheit all the way down to just 54. And, most importantly, their metabolism, their engine, slows down by up to 95%. This allows them to save
just enough energy to make it to sunrise.
So they've clearly mastered daily survival, but their ultimate test of endurance is still to come. One of the most epic and, frankly, unbelievable migrations in the entire animal kingdom, a nonstop marathon flight clear across the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, this really is the ultimate endurance test. On one side, you've got our tiny athlete, weighing less than a coin, and on the other, the challenge, a grueling 500-mile nonstop flight over nothing but open water. There's no place to land, no place to rest, and definitely no place to refuel. So how is this even possible? Well, they prepare by eating like their lives depend on it, because they do. They pack on fat reserves until they nearly double their body weight, going from about 3.5 grams up to almost 7 grams in just a matter of days. This fat becomes the high-octane fuel they absolutely need for the impossible journey ahead. And this quote from the U.S. Forest Service just says it all. This is an 18 to 22-hour continuous flight. It's a single, sustained athletic effort performed by a creature that could sit comfortably on your thumb. It's an act of endurance that just completely defies belief. So when you put it all together, the metabolism, the feeding, the flight, the survival strategies, you start to realize this isn't just a bird. It's a tiny architect of both the air it flies in and the ecosystems it helps hold together. These are really its superpowers, right? The fastest metabolism on the planet, the ability to basically enter a state of suspended animation to survive the night, epic solo migrations guided purely by ancient instinct, aerial acrobatics that are simply unmatched. And while doing all of this, it serves as a critical pollinator for countless native plants, weaving the whole ecosystem together. The ruby-throated hummingbird is just amazing proof that the most extraordinary things often come in the absolute smallest packages. And it leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. What other incredible biological marvels are hiding in plain sight all around us, just waiting for us to look a little bit closer and truly see them?